Let us look at the excesses of Fulani Militia, Fulani herdsmen, because whether in the north, whether in the southern part of the country, their activities is already a source of concern for everyone, including the government. We understand that the government of Abia State is not left out, because while the governor of Abia State visited his colleague in Enugu talking about Pitamba, he raised the issue of state police and how there is need for collaboration to combat crime and criminality. We understand that the other time, even Abia State government raised alarm over the maybe disaliving of some person in the state by suspected Fulani militias. And again, don't forget that even before now, in 2024, there was an issue or a situation where the Militia approached the Southeastern governors, asking them that they want to establish a vigilante group of Fulani. You begin to wonder, how can a people who come from Senegambia come to Nigeria, not just in the north again, coming to the southeastern part of the country and wanting to establish a security outfit? It beats all imagination why that boldness will come. But again, let us remember that this is not the first time we are seeing such move. We are actually seeing even the national chairman of Militia talking about Bodejo, who the government accused at the time that he was forming, or that he formed a vigilante group, arming them without the consent of the federal government. I think at the time, that one was supposed to encompass almost the whole northern part of the country and even some southern part of the country. Though he was released at the point where the Attorney General of the Federation stepped in and will do the case. But we understand that currently he is still in custody, because the government equally arrested him recently, accused of banditry. And the government this time around have secured a court order to keep him for 2 months to enable them to conclude investigation. We understand that almost every area of the country where you see people talking about insecurity, the Fulani militias are always at the center of it. We even saw even recently, while the governor of Plateau State, we submit a proposal for state police to the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review, how the Militia Magban in his state, talking about Plateau State, will come out openly to say, no, we are against state police. You begin to wonder, how can a people come out openly, knowing that everybody have agreed that the problem of insecurity in Nigeria is a worrisome one. And the approach to proper solution, everybody have equally agreed that there's every need to reduce the security architecture we have currently. Because the command and control system that is coming from Abuja is not working. That's the truth. Because you cannot be in Abuja and be policing Lagos State effectively, policing Delta State effectively, and decide that they post their personnel across every nook and cranny of the country. But if you are looking to police it properly, you must use people who know the terrain. I think that is the argument here. Now, they came out openly to say, yes, we are against state police. You begin to wonder, does it mean they know those who are disaliving people in the state? Because we understand that in Boko's and Basa local government areas of Plateau State, there was serious killing that took place in those states, in those local governments recently. Even the one that happened in Benue State recently, of course, it has been attributed to Fulani genocidal invasion. The same thing happened even while the governor of Plateau State, talking about Bufuam, equally said that this is a genocidal Fulani invasion. So the way it is, I think there's every need to think out of the box to have a people-oriented constitution to address most of these things. Because to continue doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result is a waste of time. One, we can go back to our old regional system, because that is the best form of government that we have ever operated. Because even after the Aburi, all the problem Aburi Accord sought to solve are still plaguing us today. Because it is surprising to know that even the state police that people are yearning for currently was already contained in the Aburi Accord. So if that is the situation, I think there's every need to think out of the box and have a way to protect the people. Because we cannot continue living at the mercy of this Fulani Militia. And let us even look at some governors who have even keyed into this state police agenda. But I think as a matter of urgency and necessity, all the governors need to key into this. Because the argument of the Abia State governor of saying that they will need to have a buy-in of the federal government, yes, of course. But looking at the number of the governors and the influence the governor forum with in Nigeria, I think they have what it takes to prevail on federal government to do the needful. Okay, looking at the governors that have already keyed into the police, state police agenda, I think Lucky Ayedatiwa of Ondo State have keyed into it. Sheye Makinde of Oyo State have equally keyed into it. Simili Lai Fubara of Rivers State, though his under suspension, have since keyed into it. Even Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State have keyed into it. Kele Mufang, of course, the governor of Plateau State have equally keyed into it. There are other governors who may have keyed into it anyway. I'm not saying these are the only governors who have keyed into it. But the point is, if everybody agree that the way to go is state police, and we know that state governors have influence in Nigerian system, in Nigerian polity, because we have seen them demonstrate that in the past in so many areas. Because even under Muhammad Buhari, while the president of Buhari then will sign an executive order seeking to ensure that funding of local government and judiciary gets to them, and that any money didn't get to them, that the federal government reserve right to withhold the allocation of that seat until they do the needful. I understand that the state governors stood their ground, oppose it, and at a point, the then president, have to rescind his decision. So the influence is there, nobody is doubting it. And even the current judgment that have given local government autonomy, I understand the state governors are still dragging implementing it, and at every point in time, they are equally meeting with the federal government to fine-tune how to start it. A judgment that ought to have since taken root and taken effect in terms of enforcement. So it got to show that the governors have influence and power in the Nigerian system. So they should as well bring that influence and power to bear this time around, that the people need to be protected. But at this point, let me quickly say that the fear of federal government in allowing state police may be because of secession, maybe because people will abuse it. But let me quickly say that that fear is a misplaced one. Because currently, we cannot continue living at the mercy of bandits, who the government at some point have agreed that these are non-Nigerians who take advantage of our porous borders, come into the country through maybe Niger and all of that. But the important thing is that the people must be protected, because the constitution is very clear about the protection of lives and property. Section 14 of 1999 Constitution as amended is very clear that the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. So if that is the situation, if that is the case, I have a situation where people are being killed, maimed, and all of that, and the government is dragging and addressing it. Of course, I think as a matter of urgency, the government must find a way of addressing the issue of insecurity. Because let me quickly say that as a government, you must build, or rather get, monopoly of coercive power to exert on every territorial integrity of the country. That is what happened sometime 5 years ago, when a 27-year-old Fulani was kidnapped and taken to Sokoto State. American Navy SEALs came here, rescued unhurt. That is capacity. I think as a country, we must get to that level. Then again, looking at how the likes of Toji Bello will operate even after celebrating burning that military vehicle, so many months after that, he has not been arrested or neutralized in the battlefield. Though the government have made it clear recently through the armed forces that his cousin, who doubles as his operational henchman, have been neutralized in the battlefield. Of course, the situation that made Toji Bello himself in some reportage saying that he wants peace, that he wants negotiation. Let me quickly say that it is unheard that the government will be negotiating with bandits, particularly after maiming, killing Nigerians. We have seen so many videos that have gone viral, how the men kill, kidnap for ransom and all that. So that was why people like us were baffled when we saw the likes of Ado Aleru, of course, a bandit leader who operates in the axis of Zamfara and Katsina State, holding meeting with the governor of Zamfara and Katsina State. You begin to wonder, a bandit leader that have a bounty of 5 million on his head, holding meeting with state governors, coming to the meeting from a point of strength, because you can clearly see some videos that went around on internet, how his men came there fully armed. You begin to wonder, are we actually a sovereign state? How can individuals who the military would normally call actors, who people hostage, who country hostage? We have seen how the lives of Samuel Otom as a governor of Benue State was attacked. Of course, that was purely assassination attempt. And at the time, the group that did it came out to say, yes, we are Fulani nationality movement, we did it. And they promised that the next time the governor would not be that happy, would not be that lucky. So we begin to wonder and ask, how have we gone here? And when the government of Muhammadu Buhari procured 12 Tucano jets, they made us understand that it was going to be a game changer. But surprisingly, in spite of the millions of dollars that was used to buy those Tucano jets, it never solved the problem. Though the current Director General of GSS have made it clear recently that going forward, the communities should be empowered to be the first line of defense in case of invasion. I think I totally agree with him, and that is where it is necessary that the communities should start coming together, approaching the government for the purpose of addressing insecurity through that angle. I understand that the federal government equally have mentioned forest guard, where they have advised state governors or other state governments to recruit between 2,000 and 5,000 personnel depending on their financial capacity to pay. I understand that the issue of arming state security was a challenge under Muhammadu Buhari, because for you to do that, you need an end-user certificate that normally comes from the Office of the National Security Advisor. Obviously, that reason Amateku could not be a sophisticated weapon to enable them to combat crime and criminality in the time of Akeredolu, who was always at loggerhead with the then president of Muhammadu Buhari over allowing civilian JTF not to be armed and saying Amateku should not be armed. But holistically speaking, we need to think out of the box. And to think out of the box, it will have the whole system overhauled. Except we do that, because I must be very clear that you cannot continue doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. You will always get the same result if you continue recycling your ideas. Thank you very much.